No one plans for a diagnosis that changes everything. One day, you're living your normal life, and the next, your body gives you news that you just can't ignore. In moments like that, mindset isn't about staying positive anymore. It's about staying present and grounded. Today's conversation is about what happens when life forces you to slow down, listen deeply, and redefine what healthy really means. Welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, the podcast where we explore everyday mental health with honesty, clarity, passion. I'm Sayan, and today I'm joined by Zed Dhalla. Zed is here to share his cancer diagnosis from his past year, what is learned through the experience, how it shaped the mindset, and what others can really take away, both in terms of prevention and how to respond mentally, which is the most important aspect when life takes an unexpected turn. So this episode is all about resilience, awareness, and what it really means to take care of your health inside and out. So, welcome to the show, Zed. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today.
Thanks, Sayan. Appreciate the intro and glad to be here.
Perfect. Likewise, said. So before we dive in, before we talk about the resilience and the perspective, I believe, I think it's important to honor the beginning, the moment where everything changes. So we're talking specifically your story. Because it's a kind of moment I think most of us hope we'll never face, and yet some do, right? It becomes the anchor point for everything that follows thereafter. So I want to start right there at the beginning of your journey. I'm curious, what's one misconception people have about getting a serious diagnosis like cancer, especially around the mindset or emotional response?
Yeah. Uh, I think it's not just a moment that everything turns. I think there's a lot that leads up to it. And when I think cancer, you kind of reflect back. Hindsight's always 2020. And so you look back and you always think, huh, there's a lot of things my body was telling me that I just didn't clue in or pick up on. So maybe we can dive into those any times into what led to that moment. But of course, now that I've shared my story, my bowel movements are now public information for everyone, which I never thought would actually happen. However, that moment where a doctor tells you, looks like you have cancer. It takes a moment to process. I didn't really know what to do. I texted my family and my friends around me, and it I had a positive look on it. I filmed myself and said, you know what, I'll remember this moment and how I feel and how I'm going to choose to respond. I also do believe that throughout my life, I've been faced with so many adversity moments that it was prepared me for something like this. So when you think about that moment where everything changes, I think the one thing that stays consistent, no matter what we're all faced with, and yeah, I hope that the listeners here are not faced with the news of having cancer, but we all are faced with that moment of choice of how are we going to choose to respond, whether it's in that moment, whether it's in that journey, or whether it's in that day. So yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's the kind of honesty that you bring in for my listeners. Love to tune into this episode because what I love about how you responded to it isn't very much around fear. I think fear is something that would embrace most of us in that scenario. But I I love how you said you filmed yourself that day. As a response to look back and see how you responded to that. I love that. I think it's often connected to signals, habits, and patterns we overlook or normalize for years, like you said in the start. Before we move forward, I would love to, look back on that thing, because you said about the signs that your body gave to you um, early on. So, what are the some signs or lifestyle factors that you think are important for others to pay attention to early?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, something I didn't mention, but I have stage 3B colon cancer. And basically, what that means, everyone wants to know the stats. While I don't pay attention to it, it basically means in 5 years, I have a 60% chance of living over the next 5 years. Now, there's the reason why I've chosen to share so much and turn my pain into purpose is been a lot of people viewed me as objectively healthy 36-year-old that played a lot of sports, healthy, and how could Zed get hit with a cancer diagnosis? That doesn't seem possible. And upon reflection, I've taken a lot of accountability in cancer because it's also given me the opportunity to take ownership and know that I can change it and that I'm not a stat. And I think that's something that we can all kind of recognize is that we control more than we think. And the more that we can feel a sense of ownership, the more we can actually change our outcomes for the better. And so when I think back of that, like early diagnosis or symptoms and things like that, there's three things that really boil down to any chronic illness, whether it be cancer, whether it be any inflammatory disease, anything, is really surrounding diet, lifestyle with stress. It's usually things that are triggered by some immense stress or something to that effect. And those are the two things that really, really impact. And then you have some more traditional medicine things that we can do as a prevention, um, to keep the body and mind in check.
Okay, so what is it exactly about the diet? I mean, is it simply a loss of appetite or something more than that?
Yeah, so for me specifically, when it comes to colon cancer, I noticed blood in my stool. That was like that's the number one most common symptom that people understand is that I have blood in my stool. That's not good.
Mm.
However, prior to that, I think we can really recognize thing when you say diet, it's really about removing seed oils. Like that's like the easy and just eating more vegetables. Like if we just do those two things as a North American society, especially in North America, as that society develops, colorectal cancer sub 50 years old is on the rise, and it's primarily, I believe, attributed to those reasons.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we want to pay attention to our bodies, I think, without constantly assuming the worst. But then, well, something serious, yeah, does happen. It's those small, ordinary things that we most often, ignore. Um, so, is that let's go there for a second.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
during treatment and recovery. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about your real life impact. As in how did this experience show up in your day-to-day mental health? Things like motivation, identity, and also uncertainty about the future as well.
Mhm. Heavy. It's tough, right? Like, you get hit with a cancer diagnosis out of nowhere. Um, you know, my mom was battling cancer and during this as well, she unfortunately passed away, and so a lot of things happened at once, that put a lot of adversity into perspective. And when you're hit with something like this in life, I would actually this is gonna be really weird to say, and it might be opposite of what people think, but I actually believe that my mental health has improved since my cancer diagnosis. And I firmly believe, like, I've counted the number of bad days that I've had, and it really kinda goes to show that we control our perspectives, um, how we shape our way of thinking about gratitude and what we're grateful for, how we shape our purpose for life. No one can rob you of your vitality, no matter what is happening in your life, and that's something that I've experienced firsthand. So I'd actually say it's improved.
Hmm. Yeah, no, because I could relate because here's this analogy because I've seen people, um, turn humorous, right? I mean, overnight, when they're met with heartbreak or, loss of something, right, in their lives specifically. So that ties into your mental health growth as well, since you faced with, something as crazy as cancer. But, since a lot of people are listening to this and are like, okay, and they want to know about what actually helped you, as in the particular mindset shift for which you are now able to say that, my mental health has improved. with a smile on your face. So what's that biggest difference for you during this journey? Something that helped you stay grounded rather than overwhelmed.
Yeah. Um, I think the thing that's helped me a lot is, I mean, a couple years ago, one of my colleagues, really leaned on how we can change our words, and that helps change how we view the world, and everything, changing it from "I get to," or sorry, from "I have to "I get to." And so embodying that mindset, uh, really, really helped me. Is that, um, I honestly see a lot of silver linings with my cancer diagnosis. I get to apply more lifestyle changes at a younger age to the rest of my life than other people would be afforded to. And so specifically what I did is I paid attention to more gratitude, writing it down every single day. I was more consistent with my meditation with every single morning. And my specific morning routine, I just became more dialed in on it. I'm saying that I need my mental health to be strong during this time. So I'm going to prioritize it more. And it's absolutely paid dividends for me, but it's something that, I wish I did more consistently previous to it, right? Instead of out of desperation, if we can all learn through inspiration, that would be that would be great.
Yeah. Um, yeah, indeed. I think it's the gratitude that is missing from most of our lives. I think that makes a change in a person's mindset as well. And what I'm hearing from you is that mindset isn't about control. It's about the response that you showed up with, and that's something I think everyone listening to this right now can also relate. Zed, before we wrap off this conversation, I would love to end with a sort of a practical insight for those of us listening to this right now. As in, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's just starting a very similar journey, or I mean, they're already in this journey, or maybe they're not faced with anything as dangerous as these situations where you have not just one but more than one losses in your life, right? And you're threatened with something as cancer as well on top of it. What would you want them to hear?
I think the I went through I mean, I'm still going through chemotherapy right now. Um, I've been through rounds of chemotherapy, 11 incisions, two major surgeries. I had my full large intestine removed. Been juggling a lot. Uh, and I would say this to anyone as they face any kind of adversity, is that no one can rob you of your vitality. And it's not about just delusional positivity. It's about being honest with yourself and how you want to show up, and what would your future self be proud of when they look back. And when you have that frame of mind, you get to choose your attitude no matter what. And so, honestly, just choose it wisely. What you think would be most beneficial and not beneficial, and what would be harmful and not harmful. And there are moments where things are tough and where I've personally had of course, we've had those moments where emotions are going crazy, everything's flying high, but then how do you recenter and ground yourself? How do you get back up? And how do you choose wisely, that your future self would be proud of? And that's the thing that I leave with anyone, is that, going through any kind of adversity.
Well, thank you, Zed. First of all, because that is like some sheer honesty that you brought into this conversation, and that is the kind of lived wisdom that stays with people, I believe. Uh, because it's not something that you can find within a textbook. I think you can only learn about these through talking about these kind of lived experiences. And my key takeaway from this is that from this whole conversation is that no matter how hard things may seem, right, your mindset becomes the biggest asset of becoming that beacon that can pull you out of no matter how bad it is, right? I mean, it won't obviously cure illness directly, but I think it just shows you how your physical body can to fight through that. And I think that's something that I'm taking away from this conversation, like this one.
There's so many resources out there that show how your mindset can contribute to different kinds of healing.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Totally.
I know you've probably experienced that. I'm not on one side, whether being holistic, Western, or anything, but I think that utilizing everything as ammunition to fight whatever you're fighting is helpful, and especially if there's no downside. And so I
Sure.
believe that that's one of our most underutilized resources is what our self talk looks like, how we wake up in the morning, how we set intention for the good day, what stresses us out and what doesn't. Um, and the many unique things that I mean, I'm interested on what you've discovered, but because I'm learning from a lot of other people in different practices, different daily routines, things like that. Because I think sharing is one of the most powerful things we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally relate and agree to that. I think the mind is totally on a whole different level. I think it's one of the most, if not the most, well, people say that it is the most complex thing that the universe has created. And when I say universe, I mean the whole of it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it just shows why, even if you don't talk about the consciousness, well, it's something that we need to talk on a different episode, I believe, because it needs its whole different episode of its own. But it's the mind that is unbelievably complex and can pull you throughout any kind of situation in your life. So, Zed, thank you so much for sharing this kind of wisdom in this conversation. And so, before we wrap this off, would love to ask, where can people connect with you or learn more about your work?
Yeah, for sure. Contact me on LinkedIn. That's a great place. My name is Zed Dhalla, and look forward to speaking with some of you and seeing how I can help you.
Well, thank you so much, Zed. I'll make sure the link is in the show notes. For those of you who want to, and just maybe send Zed a hi in his DM. And well, that's about it for today, folks. And if today's conversation resonated with you, I want you to take it as a reminder to listen to your body. Check in regularly. Well, if not regularly, which is daily, maybe twice a day or weekly with your mind, and not postpone your health for later. That's the only message for this episode. And this is
Blood as it's done. Go get a blood done. I would say to everyone, no matter what age you are, and understand what your markers are like. That could have saved me a lot of hassle. So I will add that.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, do get a blood test as well, folks. Because it just saves you from a lot of hassle, like it says. This is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life with Sayan. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.